Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Joe. Today we are finally doing a in-depth review of the Anechoic 30L 30 caliber suppressor. Let's check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Anderson Manufacturing. If you have ever wondered on building your own AR-15, Anderson Manufacturing is where it's at. With their affordable, low receivers, or if you want to buy a tricked out AR-15 like the Anderson Frontline, which we've proudly showed here on the channel, they got you covered. They are an American-made business right in Hebron, Kentucky, built in the US, great customer service, and they have a quality product. If you want to get into AR-15 building or just get into AR-15s, Anderson is where you want to go. Thank you, Anderson Manufacturing, for sponsoring today's video. So guys, welcome back. My name is Joe. You're watching Shooting Gallery. Before we get into this review, please do me a favor. Go down to the comment section, go down to the like button, do all that stuff. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And again, big shout out to Anderson for sponsoring today's video. Our host rifle on both of the guns that this suppressor has been tested on is an Anderson Frontline. This is my 300 Blackout. It's a 7.5 inch 300 Blackout. I added some stuff to it. We're gonna go over this in a first shots video because you're going to see in the shooting footage of this for the testing of this suppressor that there was a little bit of a hiccup, but I know exactly why there was a hiccup. And also we have my 11.5 Anderson Frontline as well. So we love Anderson here, but we're not talking about Anderson today. We're going to be talking about a suppressor company that, for the price that this comes with and all the features that it comes with, I'd have to say is a pretty serious contender in the 30 caliber suppressor market. Now, before we get into it, I do want to just state this perfectly clear. Anechoic did send me this for the channel for doing some testing, free of charge. That is my relationship. That's not going to skew my opinion in any way, but I did want to get this out there. Yes, Anechoic did send me this suppressor. And we're going to get into the good, the bad, which really isn't a lot bad from what I've seen so far. But let's get into what I think. Let's get into some of the specs of the Anechoic 30L. And now, guys, I do feel like I have to say this. Let's make this perfectly clear. If you were to buy a suppressor, you are having to go through an FFL, that is a SOT, that stands for Special Occupation Tax, that allows them to sell suppressors and NFA items. You have to fill out a Form 4, where you have to fill out special paperwork, put your fingerprints, photo ID, and pay a $200 tax stamp to the ATF, and you have to wait a little bit. Fortunately, I only waited 3 days for this suppressor. So I did fill out all the proper paperwork. I have the tax stamp in my box. That's how I keep it, and I also have a digital copy of my tax stamp. So all local laws and federal paperwork was filed. So for YouTube people out there, we're not going to be showing how to install this onto a firearm just because of YouTube's rules. But let's go over some of the features of this Anechoic 30L. I have it uploaded here on my computer so I can get you the most accurate specs. So this is a 30 caliber suppressor. This is rated for the most powerful 30 caliber Magnum from 17 Hornet all the way to 7mm. Okay, this can take all the way up to 300 Remington Ultra Mag. It is a titanium suppressor that is 11 ounces with the direct thread adapter, and it measures 8.26 by 1.6 inch in diameter. Reduces recoil on ultralight 300 Magnum loads. It has the unique to Anechoic, their X baffle chamber system with an interrupted central tube, and is finished with Type C series high temperature Cerakote. It has the direct thread adapter on both, because you can get direct thread adapters for 5/8 by 24, half by 28, 14 by 1 left hand, and a couple other thread pitches for direct thread depending on your mounting systems. This is, but it does have the 1 by 1 was it 1 dash was it 1 by 3/8 24 ounce, not 24 ounce, but 1 by 3/8 by 24 thread mount for your hub mounts, or it can take your Bravo, boosters, Nielsen devices, QDs, tri-lugs, all different types of mounting options for the rear end to go onto the business end of the rifle. It is full auto rated. It can withstand 50 rounds of 5.56, 20 rounds of 7.62 or 308, and 8 rounds of 300 Win Mag, and that is tested on the standard barrel lengths for these rifle calibers. It does recommend do not exceed 800 degrees Fahrenheit for maximum bullet diameter of the maximum bullet diameter for the Anechoic 30L is 0.313. It is made out of grade 5 STA 1000 titanium, which is one of the strongest and highest alloy titaniums in its heat condition, but it also has a 17.4H900 blast chamber. All those to say that this is a very lightweight, really rugged can for it being a titanium can. So with all the specs listed above, you've seen some shooting footage. Now, I have tested this on 2 types of calibers and will be continuing to test it. But now I can give a proper review of this suppressor. On 5.56, I will say, now this is considered a flow-through design. They can't use the term flow-through because there's other companies that have that term trademarked. But for all intents and purposes, it's a flow-through design can. So there's a couple different configurations you can get this in. You can get it in a K configuration, a shorter configuration. They come in a couple different colors. I think flat dark earth, the raw unfinished look, OD green, and I opted for the black. Now, I've tested on 5.56 and 300 blackout. You've seen in many of my other Anderson Frontline 5.56 videos, the 11.5, I have used this can exclusively. I have almost 1,000 rounds through that, and I will say first round pop on a 5.56 on this, it's not the best. But with any suppressor, your first round pop, which is going to be your cold bore shot out of the suppressor, it's going to be a little bit louder than the continuous shots of whatever caliber, 300 blackout or any 30 cal can. Now, after shooting the first round pop on the 5.56, what I do like about this being a flow through, it has a low back pressure. So that means when you're shooting suppressed, the gases that typically are expunging out the front of the muzzle, or the gases that are coming out the chamber, this is allowing the gas to push through the front of the suppressor, and it doesn't give you as much gas in the face, which is really good. I'm kind of sensitive to the smell of the suppressor gas. I've shot suppressed before, and the gas in my face gets in my nasal passages. I tend to cough. Some cans are better than others. Now, with the 2 calibers I've shot out of this, I had no issue. 300 blackout, first round pop, I did shoot solely 220 grain subsonic loads, because why would you get a 300 blackout and not shoot subsonic through a suppressor? Obviously, there's the difference between supersonic and subsonic. Supersonic tends to be a little bit louder. Subsonic is going to make it a little bit quieter. That means it's going below. A subsonic pretty much is your bullet is a high grain bullet, but the feet per second is below 1,000 feet per second. So it's going to make it a lot quieter depending on the caliber. So you got to look at muzzle velocity and bullet velocity to make it truly subsonic. Now, I've only shot subsonic 300 blackout through this, and I've shot supersonic or just standard MA50 55 grain 223 ball. This tames, as you see in the footage, this tames the loudness, and it does bring the decibels down quite a bit when it comes to 5.56. I wouldn't say it's hearing safe, but the problem with suppressing 5.56 or 223, it's very hard to suppress it because of how much pressure is coming out of a 223 5.56. You can get specialty subsonic loads. I haven't tried that, but 300 blackout, this thing sings like a just sings like a songbird. The first round pop was not that bad, and I've shot, as you can see in the footage here now, that it is really, really quiet. Shooting 300 blackout subsonics through this can is pretty dope. All right, me coming from a kid that grew up in Massachusetts, we couldn't have suppressors. So once I got my first 30 cal suppressor, I was like, I have to get a 300 blackout. And I took this up to the property with Walter from Safety Harbor Firearms. I was shooting at his property, and within the first shot, I was like, I do not need this Air Pro at all. Now, I will say, some people's hearing are better than others. I'm not looking to get like movie quality silent with certain suppressors. I want to preserve my hearing. I do have tinnitus. My hearing is not the best. So when I can shoot a 300 blackout 220 grain subsonic load out of something like this and not have to wear Ear Pro, no ringing in my ears, that is awesome. I'm not going to get into decibel ratings. This does drop the decibel ratings to hearing safe for 300 blackout. Now, I have not tested this on, like, say, 308 and since or 65 Creedmoor 762x39. They do have thread adapters for it. But I will say for 300 blackout 223, this thing does what I want the can to do, meaning it's going to lower the decibels to where it's not as concussive. So say if you're at an indoor range and you're shooting at 5.56, this suppressor is going to be helpful for not pissing off the neighbors of people in the bays next to it, indoor ranges, or just at an outdoor range. It makes it a lot more enjoyable to shoot. You're not getting gas in the face. You're not getting a little bit, frightened by the concussion of any type of gun. I'm shooting short barrels. I have 11.5 and a 7.5 inch. And the 7.5 inch 300 blackout, this thing is probably the quietest can I've shot in to date yet. I've shot other suppressed 300 blackouts before. I only have a sample size of like 2 or 3 times shooting suppressed with a 300 blackout. Now, let's get into what I like and don't like about the can. There's not a lot that I can say that I dislike about the Anechoic 30L. Now, the only thing that I have found, and I did realize this from watching my buddy Christian Gress video, he also has a 30L, did a great review on this. After talking with him, I realized the end cap is not, it's a little bit larger than 30 cal. You can get a 30 caliber specific end cap, which will actually help with the sound reduction and the noise reduction, which I feel if you're getting a 30 cal can, I understand this is like meant to hold a wide variety of 30 caliber 30 caliber rifles or pistols, whatever, if you're doing AR pistols. I wish they added like they do add a 5/8 by 24 thread cap, which we're going to get into, direct thread. We're going to get into that in a second. But on the end cap, if it helps reduce the sound a little bit more, I wish they added that in the box. Now, in the box, we did do an unboxing video. It comes in this nice little contained box. Now, this is an 8.2 inch can. They do have a 6.6 inch can, which I would consider their K model. But they give you everything you need. They give you all of the tools and wrenches to self-service it. They have a QR code where you can get the user's manual, all that good stuff, and they give you the screw to change out the end caps. Now, since I also asked them to send me a 1/2 by 28 just so I can use it on my 5.56. The 30L, I will say, it's lightweight. I like that. This thing gets pretty effing hot. I will suggest if you're gonna get this, granted the good thing it does have the high temp Cerakote for the finish on here, but if you're gonna get a can like this and running on a rifle, pick up one of those like cold tack wraps, because if you can see, I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick it up, but let's see how I can do that. Okay, so you see that discoloration? That is part of one of my mechanic gloves. I went to go make sure that the suppressor was tightened down, and I've shot maybe like not even a full mag. Maybe it was like 20 rounds. This SOB gets hot and it melted part of my glove onto the can, which I get it. Hey, it's the forbidden popsicle. You don't want to touch it. But this thing can get pretty hot. It does have the high temp Serica, which is not going to help. You're going to have flaking and stuff like that. I did not mag dump this because, one, I like the price of, I don't like the price of ammo, and I want to preserve my ammo as much as possible to get accurate shots while I'm at the range training. But I will say that I do like the fact that it comes with a direct thread mount. Now, I did have them send me the 1/2x28. Now, the 1/2x28 direct thread mount, they work fine. The direct thread mounts are awesome. The fact that it comes with a direct thread mount is one of the most positive things I could say about any suppressor company. Have the end user have the ability to throw it on a gun the second they get it. Whether it's supplying a muzzle device, supplying a direct thread mount, which Anechoic does, and send the can to the customer was a way for them to just, they can go from their FFL SOT, get their paperwork, get their tax stamp, go right to the range and throw it on a gun. If you guys haven't been following the channel, I've had a suppressor, my first suppressor I ever bought. I bought it, I couldn't shoot it for like 7 months because I bought it during the time when everybody was getting stamps back really quick, and I could not find a 1/2x28 piston to throw my 9mm can on some of my guns, and I couldn't find the pistons anywhere. I called that company and they pretty much told me to F right off. I don't agree with that. Suppressors can be expensive. This is coming in at about 1,300 Republic credits, and for someone like me who really values a dollar, if I'm spending that much money on a product, I better be able to put it on one of my guns the second I get it. Having the fact that I had to search for a piston on my other can, and this one came with a direct thread, and I literally popped it right on my AR, went to the range, and had a grand old time. Awesome. Phenomenal. Thank you, Anechoic, for at least supplying some type of mounting system. Another thing I like about the can is that it is hub compatible. So going back to the mounting systems, this has a direct thread mount, but it is the industry standard hub compatible threads. So I could go through Break Arms, I could go through Diligent Defense, Liberty suppressors, and get any type of attachment mount as long as it's that hub mount 1x3/8x24 pitch on the back end. So I can put any type of mounting system on here. One thing I would recommend is if you're using a certain type of mounting system that requires a certain muzzle brake, just make sure that the dimensions of the muzzle brake and the length of the muzzle brake is not impeding on your suppressor. That's just something I would recommend. I know with like the ASR, the chemo adapters, some of them might be a little bit long, but from what I've read and what I've seen, you don't really have that many issues with the Anechoic 30L. Another thing I like is that it's user serviceable. So I showed, there's a video on my YouTube channel where I show you how to change out your direct thread mounts from 1/2x28 to 5/24. They give you the wrenches. This thing is user serviceable where I can take every baffle out of this and I can configure it the way I want. You can't go to say like an 8.2 inch to a 6.6 inch. That's another serialized tube, all that. But I can service this, I can clean it, I can maintain it. If say something happens where I get a baffle strike or something like that, theoretically, if they don't require you to send it back, I can just send them the baffle and they send me a new baffle in return. I'm guessing that I'm just going off of my experience. I do not have a baffle strike in this, so I couldn't tell you. Another thing I do want to say is a pro, they have a lifetime warranty. I've talked with the guys at Anechoic. We had them on the Shooting List podcast. If you want to head over to the green platform, check out Anechoic Suppressor. That was probably one of my favorite episodes we did last year, and we learned a lot about their product line. Now, the 30L has a lifetime warranty, so if God forbid something happens, send it over to them. They'll take care of you. One thing that I don't understand because of my inexperience to building firearms and stuff like that, or suppressors, is the manufacturing. What goes into it, the R&D, the fact that engineers had to come up with this. Now, that being said, the price that it comes in at, 1,300 Republic credits, that's in line with a lot of their competitors. Now, with it being titanium, that's why I can understand why it's that much. Titanium is a very expensive metal to work with. It's not like aluminum or steel. The reason I can say that is because I actually work at a firearms manufacturer that gets raw materials. And titanium is just an expensive metal to work with, but also it is a very durable metal, and it will last probably longer than anybody can ever imagine. That it's durable, it's lightweight, so if you say you have a shorter barrel, you don't have a steel or aluminum can, that's gonna probably, lower the muzzle down a little bit. It's just extra weight added. It comes in at that price point for a reason. I think if I would like to see if they ever had a steel or aluminum model, just to see the difference. As it sits right now, I'm okay with the price because most 30 caliber cans come in at around that. There's some that are a little bit cheaper, but at the same time, it could be a monocover system, it could be a different baffle system, with this being a flow through or their X baffle system. It's the research and development that took to go into this can justify that price. But those are some of the pros and cons I would say to this. And let's see what my final thoughts are. In the end, guys, if it was my money, if I were to buy this can without them sending it to me, I would definitely say yes, I would pick it up. Now, the good thing about Anechoic is they don't just do 30 calibers. They have 223, 22 rimfire, 9mm. They have a 35 caliber can, same design. It's going to have that the X core baffle system that their X core chamber system in all their cans. So they're all technically flow through designed, all titanium. They have a 35 caliber, which will cover you on larger than 30 cal. So 35 caliber, so 350 Legend, 9mm, stuff like that. But they also have a 9mm dedicated can. They have a 46 caliber can, so you get the larger boys. The only ones they don't have, from what I believe, is a 50 caliber can, but things could change. But the 30 cal, I will say, it's worth the money. With tax stamps coming back relatively quick nowadays, I would not hesitate to pick this up. If you want to actually save some money, check out the affiliates page, or just go to the company's website. And if you want to pick one of these up, if you use my channel name, maybe you could save some Republic credits, and that's always good, saving some money with that. Just if you search my channel name under that discount, I wouldn't tell you to say it is a discount, but it could be, it could not be, who knows. I'm gonna leave a link in the description on the green platform. It's not gonna be on this video if you're watching on YouTube, but if you check out my affiliates page or on the green platform, you can check this out. Maybe you want to save some money. For a first starter can, this is a perfect design for someone that maybe they don't like a traditional suppressor where you're getting gas in the face. This takes that element out of it. Don't get this too hot, and you're able to, if anything happens, give them a call. Lifetime warranty. They stand by their product. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Anechoic 30L. I'm going to be throwing more calibers through this as the time goes on. I like to try it through 6.5, 308. Maybe I'll throw it on a 22 just to see how quiet it is. I don't really have anything that's suppressible for a 22 LR, ironically, but let's just give it a try, because again, they sell all their end caps and they're in stock, which is a good thing. So big thanks to Anechoic for sending this out for test and evaluation. I love this can, and if you have any questions, please comment down below. Maybe I can relate it to Anechoic. If any of you guys have any questions directly about the 30L or some of the other calibers, make sure you check out the Shooting Those podcasts when we talk to Anechoic suppressors about their product line. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay shooting. Thank you guys so much again. We love you. Peace.